Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I'm wearing your suit.
Wait.
I know.
You're wearing my suit.
I'm wearing your suit because I have a big announcement, which is the show I've been touring with, which you've seen, called The Old Man in the Pool, and that Questlove did the pre-show music for, is going to Broadway.
Yes! Come on! It's a big announcement right here.
I showed up today, and I'm wearing like my corduroy shirt that I was doing in the game and everything. And I was like, I gotta dress up. It's Lincoln Center. This is like legit. So I gotta look nice. So if I can wear this for the opening night, it would be great.
Yeah. You look fantastic in my suit. That
Thank you
really
so
is my
much.
suit?
Yeah, well, it belongs to NBC.
Yeah.
bring
I
us
guess
home.
it does belong. Wait, what theater? Where are you? This is
Gonna be the Vivian Beaumont Theater at Lincoln Center.
Yeah.
It's Broadway at Lincoln Center. And it's starting October 28th through Christmas.
So if you're in New York
New
City
York
during the
City.
holidays.
Perfect time.
Dude, I'm so proud of you
It's
and happy
exciting,
for
right?
you. Yes!
And you're so, honestly, like, it's so much of the Tonight Show DNA because you've been supportive of the show. You came on my podcast, Working It Out. You've been to 2 of the live shows. Questlove did the pre-show music, which is amazing. I was just in Los Angeles. I did the show for 5 weeks at the Mark Taper Forum, and I would listen to Questlove's pre-show music every night, and it's amazing. It's got like Sesame Street tracks in it. It's got like The Cure and like all these like great, amazing tracks.
How did you get Quest to do that?
I watched his master class about DJing. True story. I watched his masterclass about DJing, and it's so good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I want this to be before my show, like when people are coming in. And so I tried to do it myself, and I was like, this is much harder than he makes it seem in his masterclass. So I called him and I said, like, would you be willing to try this? And he did it as a favor, and it's like, I'm beyond grateful. It's just amazing.
Mike, I remember walking through this with you. You're like, yeah, I don't know if there's a show here, but I think there is, and I'm going to grow it. And hopefully, you know, the goal is, you know, to get it on Broadway.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And I never mentioned it to you ever again because I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so we did, so we mounted it for the first time with like the full set design and everything in Los Angeles. And it's been the most gratifying performing experience of my life because it's about life and death and mortality and all these things that like people don't want to talk about. But the things that people say when they come up to me are so sweet. Like this guy was like, I brought my 12-year-old son, and on the way home, like we talked about the afterlife, you know what I mean? And like I had this woman come up and say like, I lost my dad a few years ago, and tonight I felt like I was watching the show with my dad.
Yeah, it's moving things.
I mean, the theater's haunted, so you take it with a grain of salt. But
dude, there's so many lines in there. I mean, you probably want to delete my phone number from your contacts because I was like, all right, no, I love this line. Oh no, and then I love this line. And then this is my favorite line. I don't want to give anything away, but there's so many great lines in this show.
It's funny because I loved it when you came because your laugh is so, you're like such a generous laugher. And as a comedian, you're just like that. You just crave that. And then what's the funniest thing is when my friends would come, typically like because I talk about having a lot of pre-existing conditions. I have sleepwalking disorder. I had cancer when I was 20. Like a lot of things. And people come up to me afterwards, are like, "Are you okay?" And for real. And I'm like, and after a while, I'm like, "Am I?" You know what I mean?
No, you're fine.
But I came back to New York after the Los Angeles trip, and I was like, I'm gonna go get a cystoscopy. This is because I had bladder cancer when I was 20. But it's funny because I'm a hypochondriac, and I think the funniest thing that can happen to a hypochondriac is you get cancer. You know what I mean? Because you're like, see, I told you. No. Remember last week when I thought I had rickets? I was probably right about that too.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of changes around here.
Rickets.
No, but I was lucky because they took it when I was 20. They took it out, but I have to go for this thing called a cystoscopy, and so they take a rod, they take a camera and they stick it through your penis to look in your body. No, I know you're thinking, Mike, a camera can't fit through a penis. Good news and bad news on that front. The good news is it can, and the bad news is the same as the good news. Thank you, Quest. But here's what
it's the same as the good news.
Same as the good news. But here's what happened. I went for this cystoscopy. This is last week. I went because I got nervous. I'm like, well, maybe it's been too long. And I went in, and like I don't use drugs recreationally, and so when they give me drugs, it's wild. Like, I'm like, we should do this all the time. You know what I mean? Like it was, and I
Got into it.
yeah, I got so into it, and I was like, I said to the anesthesiologist before I went under, I go like, what is this? You know, and he goes, it's propofol, and I go, oh, isn't that the one that killed Michael Jackson? He goes, and Joan Rivers, and I was like, this isn't like a yes and situation. This isn't like a brainstorm of who died doing the thing you're about to do.
No, stop saying those things. Oh my God.
I wanted him to be like, yeah, but there were a lot of other circumstances. He had like an amusement park in his yard. You know what I mean?
Instead, but you had.
So then I did it, and then I was all clear, no cancer. Yeah, which is great. Thank you. No, truly. But then I came out, and I was so high, and I'm saying to my wife, I'm just like, we should do this at home. You know what I mean? Like the propofol. And we should get the amusement park. I mean, why not?
Yeah, why
if they're
not?
gonna do one, why not do the other?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Do this at home.
I was like, I became like the guy at the music festival who's just like, it's natural, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you can do it. I was like, I literally said, I go, it's lipids. It's just made of lipids. I don't even know what lipids are, but I'd asked the anesthesiologist, and he's like, it's lipids. And I said to my wife, I go, it's lipids. Don't worry about it. We can do this. And like, it can't kill you. And the anesthesiologist goes, yeah, it can. Anyway, I got so high, and I think I'm still high. I put on your suit. I mean,
and you look fantastic. That's Mike Birbiglia. He looks great. You look fantastic. That's what a man on Broadway does. Mike Birbiglia, everybody. Mike returns to Broadway with his new show, The Old Man and the Pool, starting October 28th.
Hey, hey.